Regardless of how widespread the body positivity trend becomes, one thing remains unchanged in K-pop is that idols, especially females, must ensure their physique perfectly aligns with the stringent standard of South Korean beauty. That's why when K-pop stars just put on a little weight, and in fact, some just bounce back to the normal BMI range instead of sticking to the anorectic image, they would be body shamed by not only netizens but also fans and the management agency. Number 1. Leeju IVE. After seeing Leeju shine in the debut of IVE for not only her visual but her vocal, everyone felt like nothing could stand in the way of her being on the same popularity par as Jungwon Young, and also being among the brightest faces of Gen 4 idols. Unfortunately, several months after the debut, everyone's reaction took a 180-degree change when Leeju put on some weight. What's even sadder was that Starship Entertainment, which was believed to have already had a solid and strategic plan to develop IVE, also seemed to be impacted by the negative public reaction towards Leeju, literally ignoring her in all following promotions. This move of Starship Entertainment was seen most clearly in IVE's latest comeback with the pre-release track Kitsch. Despite being the main vocal of IVE, Leeju had 5.7 seconds to sing compared to the total 2-minute vocal line of the whole act, which was just about 4.7% in case you wonder how little her line was. According to many, this was a blatant disrespect and implicit body-shaming move of Starship Entertainment toward Leeju. In the debut song of IVE, Leeju was not only picked to have the opening line, but also have the most distribution, but as everyone noticed, ever since the body-shaming wave toward Leeju gained momentum and the public interest in her also drastically dropped, Starship Entertainment has done everything to hide her away, usually in a way of restricting her vocal distribution to the least possible, like what they did in Kitsch. Leeju was also body-shamed by Starship Entertainment through how she was limited the screen time to the least. Probably you won't notice this if not being a Leeju stan, but in Kitsch, when the MV was sped up and only back to the normal speed when it's Leeju's part, it was only played normally once at the beginning of the MV. In the scenes where she appeared along with others, fans also noticed she was either pushed to the very side of the group or oddly blurred out like an unnecessary member that IVE could easily do without. So, how bad was the public reaction that made Leeju an ironic body-shamed victim of her own company like this? When first showing subtle first signs of weight gain, she was already called out for looking worse than the debut era. And after changing her hair to black, the criticism packed with way harsher words that grew swiftly. In her first appearance in IVE's daily vlog, she made headlines for looking unrecognizable. Appearing at a major event 1 month after that, Leeju was again bashed for being fat, and one Pan user even listed out specific reasons for her to lose weight. 1. She didn't look pretty. 2. She stuck out like a sore thumb, and 3. Her face was too big compared to other girls'. When wearing normal clothes, she was criticized even more as netizens said she looked too peasant-like to be an idol. It is heard on the grapevine that Leeju was restricted from doing photo shoots for fashion covers as people wouldn't buy the magazines due to her down-spiraling visual, and as time passed, such rumors were only consolidated. Appearing at the Seoul Music Awards on January 19, she was bashed for failing to lose weight, and a month after that, the same thing happened when she performed in Japan. Her attitude was later criticized as people believed she didn't take the idol career seriously enough to better manage her body accordingly. Personally, when I look at the number of times netizens have bashed Leeju for looking too fat and mercilessly criticized her just because she didn't look in a certain way that they expected, it's also not 100% Starship Entertainment's fault to hide her away so much. 1. As this whole industry revolves around making money off idols' image considering such negative reaction, it was sensible for them to push members who were more favored by the many. Besides, Leeju herself would potentially bear more mentally harmful impacts when being in the limelight too much like before, so to a certain extent, Starship Entertainment has also done her some favor with this treatment, though according to fans, this was still nothing but an implicit body-shaming move. Number 2. Jiwoo NMIX. Despite having received showers of compliments lately for shredding tons of weight right before the comeback of NMIXX, Jiwoo is still one of the most body-shamed idols in K-pop history, as people used to constantly call her out just because she didn't look as skinny as they wanted. The hate she suffered from was most severe during the debut era of NMIXX, as at the time, public expectation was through the roof for the newest girl group of JYP Entertainment. On Pan, the thread where a netizen said Jiwoo must lose weight if she wants to make it big in the idol industry quickly went viral in the top 3 hot topics of the day. Most of the photos used in this post were in NMIXX's debut era, and seemingly as Jiwoo was also well aware of the public hate, she often hid parts of her body in the group's image. When appearing on Weekly Idol, Jiwoo was also mercilessly bashed as netizens believed her body weight took a toll on her dance moves, making Jiwoo stick out like a sore thumb compared to other members when dancing, especially considering how JYP Entertainment let Jiwoo appear in the same dance cover video with Chinny and Kyujin, implicitly confirming her as part of the dancer line in NMIXX. The fact that she failed to execute moves sharply and juicily like the other two was also the cause for many netizens to make fun of her. NMIXX's non-filtered appearance in the street also turned into a perfect chance for netizens to bash Jiwoo's appearance. The only difference from the previous criticism was that here, many put on a hypocritical attitude, recognizing her visual but at the same time telling her to lose weight as her body was so big that it blocked her aura as her face was already super small, so shredding some kilos would definitely bring her to the top visual of K-pop. And as a team player, she shouldn't shatter the perfect image of NMIXX just because of the weak willpower always failing to better manage her body. Fortunately, things have recently changed 180 degrees as Jiwoo showed up confidently with a new appearance post-weight loss. After her attendance at the Loewe pop-up store, it literally took her seconds to blow up on the internet, as everyone was crazy for her beauty. She was now put on the same visual par as Sulyeon, the only member of NMIXX mass voted to be one of 4 visual representatives of Gen 4. Personally, I'm more than happy to see Jiwoo stop getting body shamed and how netizens are now head over heels for her visual. Number 3. Ryujin ITZY. Similar to Jiwoo, Ryujin has recently shredded lots of weight, but those who have followed her since day one all know that she has struggled a lot with the body shaming criticism thrown at her non-stop. As she debuted with an extremely skinny figure and also managed to draw lots of public attention for being the brightest factor on YG Entertainment's survival show, Mix 9, the public automatically assumed that was her ideal physique and they would never accept anything less than that. Unfortunately, as Ryujin seemingly only managed such a weight for pursuing an unhealthy and extreme calorie deficit diet, she quickly bounced back to normal weight in ITZY's third promotion, Wannabe. Since then, topics discussing her being fat started to circulate more on the internet, and while fans might put on the defense mode, saying she looked healthy and refreshing at the normal weight, most still agreed she looked way thicker than the standard of K-pop. Especially since other members gradually lost lots of weight, she stood out even more as a bigger member, and according to some, this shattered the ideal skinny image of the group. At this point, Ryujin stans started to notice how she often implicitly talked about herself when it came to staying thin topics. And as time passed, she shredded a dramatic amount of weight that people started to feel alarmed. In fact, even Yuna was taken aback by how small Ryujin has become. And it was not only until Yuna randomly held Ryujin when she lost balance that Yuna realized the crazy amount of weight her member had shredded. The comeback with Loco was when people started to notice Ryujin's new image, and while some outlets called it alarming, fans only found the reaction ridiculous because it was also the public that made her so insecure that she had to opt for an extreme, unhealthy diet in exchange for their love. For example, when Ryujin posted a picture of her casually enjoying herself in 2021, it was also one of the rare times netizens praised her for the stunning visual rather than a masculine tomboy visual. Then, the only reason they praised her was that she looked thinner. And if that hadn't tricked Ryujin into thinking the slimmer she looked, the prettier she would be recognized, I honestly don't know what had. Ironically, when Ryujin is skinny, she is criticized for losing the sporty aura and looking older for buccal fat loss. At this point, I feel like I can never become an idol because my snowflake mentality can never bear the pressure of being stoned regardless of how hard I try to please people. So why do you think these idols get so much hate just because of their weight? Is appearance everything in the K-pop industry? Comment down below to share your thoughts with us. Also, remember to like, share, and subscribe to BeBoss TV for more interesting K-pop content. Thank you for watching!